Objective Geology, multiple choice questions with answers. This is the solved question paper of BHU 2020 question paper. And I hope this solved question paper is useful for various competitive exams like CSIR, NET, GATE, GSI and other exams. Welcome to set 2. Coming to the first question. Hornblende hornfels facies and the amphibolite facies in basic rocks can be distinguished only by A. Texture, B. Mineral assemblage, C. Chemical composition and D. Grain size. So the correct option goes as B. Mineral assemblage. Mineral assemblage is a key factor distinguishing between hornblende hornfels facies and the amphibolite facies. The hornblende facies is characterized by lower pressures and high temperatures, whereas the amphibolite facies, it is defined by hornblende, plagioclase, and it may also contains garnet, epidote, diapside and mafic rocks. However, the presence of specific minerals like andalusite or cordierite in associated metabolites, it can also help differentiate between the two facies. So the mineral assemblage is an important key factor in distinguishing between hornblende hornfels facies and the amphibolite facies. Next question. Stigmatic folds are A. Folds where all the layers exhibit geometry like a moving snake. B. Folds which are formed by process of buckling. C. Folds where one layer exhibits snake movement geometry but the other adjacent layers do not. And D. A series of folds comprising of numerous anticlines and synclines. So the correct option is C. Folds where one layer exhibits snake movement geometry but the other adjacent layers do not. So stigmatic folds are indeed characterized by the irregular and often sinuous or snake-like shape, particularly within a single competent or strong or rigid layer, which is enclosed by a less competent or weaker matrix. These folds do not maintain a consistent thickness, and these are often found in migmatites and other rocks experiencing deformation. So the correct answer is C. Folds where one layer exhibits snake movement geometry, but the other adjacent layers do not. Next question. Tipum group of Assam ranges in age from A. Middle Miocene to Pliocene, B. Middle to late Miocene, C. Early to middle Miocene, and D. Middle to late Eocene. Tipum group of Assam ranges in age from middle Miocene to Pliocene epochs. Specifically, it is considered to be one of the upper Miocene age, and the Tipum group, it is known to be a fluvial deposit within an intermountain continental basin. Next question. Coastal lakes having connection with the sea are known as A. Perennial lakes, B. Playa, C. Sabka, and D. Lagoons. So the correct option is lagoons. Coastal lakes that are connected to the sea are generally called lagoons. These bodies of water are often shallow and separated from the open sea by a sandbar or barrier island or coral reef, but retain some connection through channels or inlets. So coastal lakes having connection with the sea are known as lagoons. D is the correct option. Next question. Troctolite has the following mineralogy. A. Olivine and plagioclase. B. Plagioclase and amphibole. C. Olivine and pyroxene. D. Plagioclase and pyroxene. Troctolite has the olivine and plagioclase mineralogy. So troctolite is a coarse-grained intrusive igneous rock composed mainly of olivine and plagioclase with minor amounts of pyroxene. Next question. Law of rational indices mainly addresses the position of A. Solid angles, B. Edges, C. Interfacial angle, and D. Faces. So the correct option is faces. The law of rational indices in crystallography mainly addresses the position of crystal faces relative to the crystallographic axis. It states that the intercepts of any face of a crystal on the crystallographic axis, it can be expressed as a simple whole number multiples of the unit intercepts like A, B, and C. So law of rational indices mainly addresses the position of faces. Next question. The AFM diagram is a projection from A. Potash feldspar, B. Plagioclase, C. Muscovite, and D. None of the three. So the correct option is C. Muscovite. The AFM diagram is a projection from muscovite. It's a tool used in petrology to represent the chemical variations in metamorphic rocks, specifically metapelites, which are metamorphosed shales. Next question. Which one of the following minerals is an isosilicate? Simple, straightforward question. A. Olivine, B. Nepheline, C. Beryl, and D. Hemimorphite. Olivine is an isosilicate. Olivine is a nesosilicate. It is also known as orthosilicate. Nesosilicates are characterized by having isolated silica tetrahedra, which are not linked to each other, but they are instead held together by cations. So in olivine, these isolated tetrahedra are linked by magnesium and iron cations. Next question. Meandering of streams is achieved in which stage of its journey? A. Rejuvenated stage. B. Youth stage. C. Old stage. And D. Mature stage. Meandering of streams is achieved in mature stage. In this stage, the river has developed a gentler slope and begins to erode its banks, creating curves and bends as it moves across the landscape. Next question. In biostratigraphy, a body of strata that contains the maximum abundance of a particular fossil taxon occurring within the stratigraphic range of that taxon is known as A. Index fossil, B. Range zone, C. Assemblage zone, and D. Acme zone. So the correct option is Acme zone. In biostratigraphy, a body of strata with the highest abundance of a particular fossil taxon within its overall stratigraphic range is known as a abundance biozone. Sometimes this is also called as a Acme zone, and this zone is characterized by a peak or maximum abundance of the chosen fossil species, which is distinguishing from it from the other parts of the stratigraphic range where it may be less common. So the correct option goes as D. Acme zone. Next question. Body-centered unit cell does not occur in which of the following crystallographic classes? A. Tetragonal, B. Orthorhombic, C. Cubic, and D. Monoclinic. So the correct option is D. Monoclinic. A body-centered unit cell is not possible in the monoclinic crystal system. Next question. An optic axis is a unique direction in a mineral along which the traveling light A will pass through without being split or polarized, B will be split into two rays, C will be most strongly absorbed, and D will be polarized into two directions. So the correct option is A, it will pass through without being split or polarized. An optic axis in a mineral is a direction along which the light travels without being split into two rays. It's also known as a birefringence. In other words, light traveling along the optic axis will not experience double refraction. So this unique direction is characteristic of anisotropic minerals, where the optical properties vary depending upon the direction of light propagation. Next question. Which variety of clay contains montmorillonite as principal mineral? A. Fuller's earth, B. Ball clay, C. Fire clay, and D. Bentonite. So the correct option is D. Bentonite. Bentonite clay, it is primarily composed of the mineral montmorillonite. And montmorillonite, it is a type of the clay mineral that belongs to the smectite group, and it is known for its unique swelling and water absorption properties. And this makes bentonite a versatile material with applications in various industries. Next question. Cutoff grade is defined as A. Minimum concentration of the metal required to achieve the break-even point for mining. B. Maximum concentration of metal in ore body. C. Average concentration of metal in ore body. And D. Average concentration of metal in the earth's crust. So cutoff grade is defined as a minimum concentration of a metal required to achieve the break-even point for mining. In mining, the cutoff grade, it is the minimum grade of mineralization or the metal content that makes a deposit economically viable to mine and process. The material above this grade is considered and ore is extracted, while the material below this grade is considered as a waste and is either left in place or it can be disposed of. So cutoff grade is the minimum concentration of a metal required to achieve the break-even point for mining. A is the correct option. Next question. Which one of the following is not a peridotite? A. Habsburgite, B. Wollastonite, C. Websterite, and D. Verlite. So the correct option is B. Wollastonite. Wollastonite is a calcium silicate mineral, that is CaSiO3, while peridotite is a coarse-grained ultramafic igneous rock composed primarily of olivine and pyroxene, and they have different chemical compositions, crystal structure, and geological origins. Next question. Four axes of threefold symmetry characterize A. Trigonal system, B. Tetragonal system, C. Triclinic system, and D. Isometric system. Four axes of threefold symmetry, it crystallizes cubic system or isometric system. So this is characterized by the presence of four axes of threefold symmetry. And these axes pass diagonally through the cube, from corner to the opposite corner. Next question. Choose the incorrect statement. A. Iron deposit may not be formed by contact metasomatism. B. Graphite deposit may be formed by contact metasomatism. And C. Copper deposit may be formed by contact metasomatism. And D. Ledging deposit may be formed by contact metasomatism. The incorrect statement is A. Iron deposit may not be formed by contact metasomatism because iron deposit they can form via contact metasomatism. Contact metasomatism is a process where hot igneous intrusions alter surrounding rocks. It can lead to iron ore deposits, particularly in scan deposits. So, A is the incorrect statement. Next question. Lithium bearing mica group mineral associated with pegmatites is A. Amblygonite, B. Lepidolite, C. Petalite, and D. Spodumene. So the correct option is B. Lepidolite. Lepidolite is a lithium bearing mica group mineral which is commonly found in pegmatites. It is a phyllosilicate mineral, meaning it has a layered structure, and it is known for its distinctive lilac gray, pink or purple color. And lepidolite is a significant lithium resource, and this is often associated with other lithium bearing minerals like spodumene and petalite pegmatites. Next question. The amount of light bending through a mineral depends on A. The angle of entry, B. The wavelength, C. The refractive index, and D. All of the three. The amount of the light bending through a mineral depends upon all the three, like the angle of the entry, the wavelength, and the refractive index. Next question. Drainage pattern in homogeneous lithology is A. Radial, B. Trellis, C. Rectangular, and D. Dendritic. So the correct option is D. Dendritic. In regions with homogeneous lithology, meaning rocks with similar resistance to weathering and erosion, is a dendritic drainage pattern commonly develops. And this pattern, it resembles the branching of a tree with the tributaries joining larger streams at acute angles. These are some of the suggested books. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video. Hope you can explore geosciences.